You're watching Let the Quran Speak. We're answering questions about Ramadan. Dr. Shabir, the question is, does taking medication or injection ruin my fast?
Okay, so this is the question that gets asked again and again because, we're in modern times where we're always taking injections and medications for so many umpteen things. May God protect us all. The classical scholars had to think about this. The Quran is very clear that eating or drinking is going to break the fast. But what if you're taking medication orally? Well, they think the Muslim scholars look at this. The Quran doesn't mention medicine, but and they think that, okay, like what really breaks the fast? Like what qualifies as eating? So they had to think, suppose you put something in your mouth. That seems to be allowed so long as you don't swallow it. So the swallowing it is going to break the fast. So a principle emerged that if something enters the stomach via the orally, then that breaks the fast. So then medicine, well, that enters orally into the stomach. So that they concluded that breaks the fast. All right. So what if now in modern times it's injected intravenously or under the skin? Does that break the fast? Well, they say no, because that's not going orally and entering the stomach that way. It may eventually reach by some means, but it's not the conventional means. So they say taking medicine by that method does not break the fast. But then, what about if somebody's getting IV saline drops and that is nourishing them so they don't need to eat? Well, here the opinion is divided. Some say, well, in principle, this breaks the fast because basically you're eating, but just in a different way. And some say, well, no, just as the medicine doesn't break the fast, this is a kind of medicine and it's going through the same method. So if the method of taking medicine intravenously does not break your fast, neither would this intravenous insertion break the fast. But still, they would say that, it seems that you shouldn't use it if you don't have to. But they say it wouldn't break the fast. In my humble judgment, it seems that putting all of this together, we should say if somebody is at the stage where they need to have this intravenous nutrition, then they're like sick people and they shouldn't be fasting. They should delay and fast an equal number of other days in the future. But if they choose to fast, it should be allowed. We cannot say no. That's between them and God. God is being merciful on them to accept their fasting even when they're not really feeling hungry. And that's between them and God. But ideally, they should give the charity for each day of the fast because they are like sick people who do not expect to get better, or if they expect to get better later on, they save the day and do a rain check and fast as a qada or to make it up after the month is over.
What about medication, Dr. Shabir? Like some people take medication for their lifetime.
Yeah, so if they're taking medication orally, then, one might be inclined to say, okay, well, if it's just medication, do we want to deprive the person from the spirit of fasting just because they're taking a little bit of medication? Like, does it make a lot of difference that they're taking a little medication? So some people have asked me, for example, what if I take the pill without any water? Because some people are able to swallow pills without water, right? Can you?
Yes, I can, actually.
Okay. All right. And so what if they just take the pill without any water? Or somebody says, what if I take just a little sip of water, just enough? Because people so much want this experience of fasting. Yes. So who am I to stand in their way? That's between them and God. If they feel they can do it and they feel that they're still fasting and it's still in keeping with the spirit of fasting, that they're doing this while protecting their bodies for the sake of God by using the right medication as prescribed by reputable doctors, then, I don't want to stand in their way. But if we're thinking of in legalistic terms, what would the scholars say applying the legal maxims which are already established in our classical jurisprudence? They would say that this breaks the fast. So you should pay the compensation, which is feeding one poor person one meal for each day of the fast. And it doesn't have to be an expensive meal. It can be an average one. And of course, you might find a poor person in another country where the cost of living is much less and where the cost of a meal will not be that burdensome. So maybe somebody wants to do both. As a precaution, you're still going through the fasting while taking your medication as much as you need. And at the same time, you have this fallback, your plan B almost, that if God says, okay, well, your fasting wasn't good, where was the compensation? Well, you did that too. and so you got all grounds covered. I think that's a reasonable compromise.
All right. Thank you for that, Dr. Shabir.
You're welcome.
There are people out there who don't interact with Muslims at all in their day-to-day lives. They learn everything they know about Muslims from TV or social media. Our Muslim Media Hub will reach these people and transform their lives. Support us at QuranSpeaks.com.